All right, we are recording. Woo!
All right.
So hi everyone, I'm Samir. Who's that next to me?
Ben Tyree.
We're both putting out a record, and right below us down there, Kundan Baidwan. She's a dear friend of both of ours, amazing painter, all the way in San Francisco, and she blessed us with her creative energy and created an amazing album cover for us, which is hanging there behind her. So we're really excited for you to meet Kundan. Thanks for joining us, Kundan.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks
Yeah.
for letting me work on this album cover.
Of
It's a
course.
lot of fun to put some of this energy that's all cooped up at home into something creative, just
Yeah.
like you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like so. Me and Ben basically also made this record in quarantine, and it's really strange times with COVID, and of course everything else that's going on. It's just in the last few days, it's been so intense with social action outside, and the project is called Unruly Neighbors, and we've been talking a lot about how in today's climate, we as neighbors can be unruly together and that now is kind of more speaking, I think, on where I'm seeing where things are at, and it feels really good. And I'm really excited about the work Gundan did because to me, like she really captured an energy that feels like where we're at as well. And so I wanted to give you a moment, Gundan, to kind of just talk about like your process. How did you arrive at that piece?
So, Samir and I had discussed, you and I had discussed doing some album cover artwork, and you sent me the link to listen to some of the tracks. Just I think it was the almost final edit, and even just the title. I think I asked you for the title of the album first, just so I could kind of let the words kind of sit with me. And I immediately did one sketch that night, or maybe two sketches that night. And then when you sent me the album, the tracks, I started listening to the music, slightly abandoned the original thought, but not completely. I definitely wanted to have a, a creation of tension between two almost opposing forces. And then also, when you are listening to the music, there's with all the different directions that the notes are going, there's still this harmony that kind of vibrates through every song, and doesn't matter how different they are. So when you listen to, for me, when I listen to the music, I wanted to have that feeling of vibration and tension, but also something that was very constant, because I think there's all of those aspects to the music and to the ideas behind it as well.
Mm.
So that's how I came up with, get you a little closer to the
Yeah.
artwork. Came up with the idea of doing something where the paint colors were opposing, the texture is slightly fuzzy, and then the dots kind of have that trailing constant.
And the dots are like raised.
Yes, there's a three-dimensionality to the painting that obviously doesn't come through on the two-dimensional screen, but all the dots, there's a lot of texture. If you ran your fingers over it, it would feel kind of like braille almost.
Yeah. You've been working with dot based stuff for a while, right?
Yeah, I don't think I realized my obsession with dots until I actually got out of art school, stepped away from art. And then when I started to get back into the dots, I've always been, I think part of being an Indian, of Indian descent is you have all these cultural references to adornment and decoration, and it's a lot of circles and dots very often. And then also thinking on the more meta, like, plane of how everything kind of, a line is a series of dots strung together. Everything that, cells are small and circular, and everything that we sort of foundations for everything starts at such a small, seemingly insignificant dot, and everything expands on a cadence from there. So I've been working with dots for I want to say 12 years, and
Wow.
it's just become my sort of signature, and I've expressed all sorts of different emotions, and ideas through what seems so basic and simple. Much like putting together notes in a song, you know? Each note could seem really simple and basic, but how you put it together and how they play off of each other, no pun intended, that's what makes music as opposed to just a note.
Yeah. That's awesome. Ben, did you want to chime in anything or like ask any questions?
Just like no, it reminds me of the Bad Brains had a record called Black Dots, and it was like, that's what music is. It's just a bunch of black dots. And Frank Zappa had this quote, I just draw black dots all day. It's not that exciting. But it's like, yeah, you put it together and it like makes this, you know, beautiful image or sonic image or visual image. Yeah, I love the cover. I love it even seems like the blue part at the bottom kind of has some three-dimensionality to it. Like from looking at it on the screen, it almost looks like it ripples in that section kind of off to the left at the bottom. Mm. Was that intentional or am I like hallucinating? Yes.
No, it's definitely intentional. I didn't want anything to be too uniform. Again, just the idea of the unruliness. You know, I wanted there to be different parts where colors would bleed a little bit more, and other parts where it's a little bit more frantic or frenetic in the zigzagginess of the paint, kind of the crossover where the two colors are. You get into those muddy areas and then you can pull back, and I feel like that happens with so much in life, music, and art. You want to get into the nitty gritty, the dirty part, and then also be able to step back and get the whole picture without. Yeah, I don't know. I digress.
Something about it totally reminds me of the Manhattan skyline, though. I know you lived in New York, but were you thinking of that, or is that just sort of incidental?
No, the original idea was definitely doing a skyline for me. You know, living in New York and then now in San Francisco, we're in cities that are very close contact with each other. It's not being separated in rural areas or even suburban areas. You know, everybody's on top of each other. And when we're faced with these these crazy circumstances, like you touched on earlier, between the lockdown or shelter-in-place orders, dealing with the pandemic, and then now with all this just social unrest because of the tragedies that people are facing, Black people are facing in this country every day. There was such I wanted to have that sense of everybody's crammed in together, and how do we communicate with each other. And sometimes it's not pretty, sometimes it's not fluid, and again, vibe of a city skyscape skyline where everything is feeling very compact and yeah.
No, it captures that. Like, I think that, like, when you see a city skyline, like, you get that. It just recalls that feeling, you know? Like, you feel like everyone is so packed together, and everyone is neighbors, right? Like, everyone is a community, and it's like, and even with the dots, like, I feel like that there's just so many layers in the picture. I really love it. But, like, all the dots, like, to me are kind of like dense in the center of the band, you know? And, like, you know, the way that they come together from the top and the bottom, it all is very, I don't know. It just, I feel like today, especially, like, it feels like it captures so many different kinds of feelings, you know? And I think that it's a beautiful piece. I'm, like, super honored that you did that for us.
Thank you. Like I said, the honor is shared on my part too. I've collaborated with Samir on a couple of other album covers. I'm really excited to have a chance now to also collaborate with Ben. I've known both of you guys Samir, I've known you my entire life, and Ben, we're coming up on like 18 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's really nice to be able to partner and have our different artistic visions kind of all meld together in this opportunity, and yeah, just have a different voice, have a different platform. And yeah, this was a really, like I said, it was a great way for me to channel a lot of energy when I can't necessarily always go out. And even my studio space, there's there's so many restrictions and just the distance of getting there, is it worth it? So it was really nice to have a project I could work on and kind of concentrate and focus when everything else feels so just up in the air.
Totally.
I think we felt like that too, because it was like almost like within the first week of everything just shutting down here, Samir just emails me, "Do you want to do a record with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like nothing's going on. I lost all my work. Let's do it. Let's do it." So yeah, it was like for me, it really took my mind. Well, I don't want to say it took my mind off of what was going on because that has kind of never happened, but it allowed a sort of me to focus my energy. And I don't know about you, Samir, but I was able to like deal with a lot of emotional stuff through that process that I don't know if I would have in the same kind of way, you know, had I not had this to kind of channel that into.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the record, on the album itself, like there's some pieces on there that were just like so beautiful to me. I'm drinking this Scottish single malt scotch right here, right? And like we were saying, yeah, that one track on the record, what's it called? The Water is Wide.
Water's Wide, yeah.
Like that was a song that I was just like talking to you, and you're like, man, Steph is listening to this, is singing this amazing song.
Singing it, and I just lost it. She was like in the other room singing this song. I had never heard it. Apparently, a lot of people have covered it though, and it's like a 15th century Scottish traditional.
Yeah, there's a couple of versions that are. I think there's like a Joni Mitchell version or something too.
There it is. There's Joan Baez. There's
Joan Baez, maybe that's
Taylor. Like tons of people have covered this song.
yeah.
But I don't know. I was just in this thing where it was like I had a friend, a childhood friend, was missing and who actually was found then dead later. But it was that in the middle of like the peak in New York City
Wow.
of deaths, and it was just like a really intense time. And like she was singing this song, and I just lost it. And I felt like I cried more than I had cried in my entire life up to that point. And I was just like, I've got to learn this. I've got to. So I just like put it down and sent it to you. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. I got it. And then you put your drum part over it, and it was like perfect.
It was so perfect. It was beautiful how it just came together like that. And then you're like, I'm Scottish, right?
Well, no, because you looked it up. You researched it. I didn't know.
You didn't even know it was like a
I didn't know
traditional
anything
Scottish
about this song. You're like, there's a Scottish folk song. I'm like, that's why. It's like hitting my DNA.
Exactly.
But like I see that in the cover. It's like, just here, even now with the unrest and the demonstrations and everything, and even with the virus, it's like the Statue of Liberty would flash these like red like emergency ambulance kind of pulses at night. I mean, I don't know, it did that a lot, and it's like that this cover kind of reminded me of that. How, like at times the sky would just seem like red, and then under it there's this water.
Yeah.
Or people.
There's such an energy in the work. It's like it feels you feel the tension, and I think it's interesting that like when we originally thought of the name of the project and the project, none of this stuff was going on, and we were like tongue in cheek, like yeah, we were like neighbors, but like we were like had this funny feud, and now we're sort of thinking about our community and how like rules are not necessarily built to serve the community, and how like in order to make change, like being unruly is like part of that, it's part of making change happen. And if you can do that as a community, that's the kind of change that we all are looking for. And I think that the tension that this painting captures, I think is like speaks on that, so I think it's awesome, and I'm so psyched to release the record. It's coming out June 5th. This is hereby the official announcement of the album release. Friday, June 5th on Bandcamp. It's a day where they're going to be giving 100% of the proceeds to artists, which is awesome. And among so many things that are happening nowadays, it's something to keep on your radar. Yeah, are there any final thoughts, Ben, that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of don't know what to say. kind of a strange time, and I feel very much not focused on myself at all right now. So like I mean, I very much was during the course of the album, but like just it's strange to be like moving forward releasing this, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that. I don't know. It's a weird kind of disconnect I have where I'm like in no way focused on myself, and now we're in this process of finally, you know, we started working on this. We started in March?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of just kind of carried me through, you know, that period, and now it's coming out, and now it feels like we're in this other kind of red alert phase, this other national tragedy that has like come up alongside this other one, and it's just like, yeah, I just feel like I you know, like you're driving in fog and you can see an inch in front of you, but as long as you can see that inch, you're like, okay. I don't know.
Okay.
So I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but
no, I mean, I think the record captures that. Like, you got these the track titles, you know? There's Crying Earth, which is some pretty awesome stuff. There's like Land Rights, which sounds like the very opening of the album, where it sounds like the cops will come in and hitting on your door. You know, I just think like there's a lot of things. There's one that's Community Garden Run Amok. That's a good name.
I think that's that park. That's like that park that everybody takes their kids to in our neighborhood, where it says adults are not allowed without the presence of children. It's a child.
Almost all the playgrounds in San Francisco say outside of it.
That's right.
That's like amazing. And one time I saw Samir in there.
Hey,
six different people. No. You were with Naima.
Okay.
But I was like walking by, and there were like 6 people I knew that didn't know each other, and they all had their kids in there, and they're all like, "Come on in, come talk." And I go in there, and like Samir comes up to me, and he's like, "Dude, I don't think you're supposed to be in here, bro. Did you see the sign?"
I think I remember that. I think I do remember that, actually. Oh, man. Well, it's really great. Really great to have you, Kundan. Thank you for being a part of this. It's like so great to work with you.
Pleasure. Really an honor.
And when you release it on Bandcamp, people are going to be able to get prints of your painting, right? They'll be able to we'll be able to send it to them. So keep your eyes peeled for that. You can actually have like a Kundan Baidwan print in your house, hanging up above the laundry machine, or you know.
For the right price, I might be willing to part with the original. So you know, we'll talk.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your night. You're gonna go catch a flick on Netflix, I think, Kundan. And Ben, I think you're gonna go hang out and have some brownies or donuts or something.
No, I'm gonna hang out with you on Zoom.
I'm gonna go have ice cream. I'm gonna go have vegan ice cream right now.
All right.
Because I earned it. I worked hard today. I painted a room today.
You did.
Well,
thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.
all right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.